Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. I'm your host, Simone Morris, and I have a passion for empowering others to take responsibility for their careers. Yes, I've written several books on owning your career and am loving hosting this podcast. This podcast is for you if you're willing to make a shift to the driver's seat in your career. We feature leaders who inspire, empower, and motivate you for consistent career action for results. Please continue to join us every Sunday when a new episode is released. Let's get into this week's show. Welcome to this week's episode of the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. Today, I'm delighted to welcome to the show Michelle Wheeler. She's an entrepreneur connoisseur, a friend of mine from way back in my corporate days, and I'm just delighted to go behind the scenes and learn more about her journey to the driver's seat. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Simone. I really looking forward to getting into it with you.
Awesome. Well, tell our listeners what you're up to. What are you doing these days?
I'm an entrepreneur of many hats. My first venture is I'm a financial coach. I was trained through Dave Ramsey back in 2014. My husband and I had um, a situation that we had to take care of, and by 2016 we were completely out of debt. So now I feel like I can give back to other people and to find their financial freedom. So I do that. And my second venture is I am a wine consultant, and I do private wine tastings throughout the United States. And a lot of my clients were asking me if I provide the cheese and everything else that comes with it. And I said, oh no, go to Trader Joe's, pick up this, this, and this. And by the fourth client, I was like, you know what? I should start making charcuterie boards. So that's my third venture, is that I make charcuterie boards, not only for the wine tasting, but just people in the community. And I'm doing online classes now too. So very happy with all three of those. They're kind of, the wine and cheese go together, but not the financial coaching. But those are my passions, and that's what I love to do.
So where did that come from? Would you say you're in the driver's seat right now, Michelle?
Yes, I'm completely in the driver's seat. I do only things that I love to do, and the money comes with that. It doesn't come right away, but when you do your passion and your love, and you wake up every day doing the things that you love, that draws people to you. And I have to say I'm in the driver's seat, finally. It took a long
I
time, but
love
I'm
to
there.
see that. So can you tell us about a time when you weren't in the driver's seat and how you found your way to the driver's seat?
So I am an engineer by degree, and I've worked for corporate America for over 30 years, different Fortune 500 companies. And I have to say that was my dad's path for me to go to engineering school and to do that. And of course, me being the oldest child, you kind of do, back I'm a 70s child, and so you kind of do what your parents want you to do.
Absolutely.
And I made great money. I had great connections. I learned so much about CPG companies, consumer products companies in the lower Fairfield County area. But I just wasn't happy. And what broke or which made the switch for me was, unfortunately, my mom got sick, and she actually passed away. And it just, my whole life changed. My whole life changed, and she wasn't able to do a couple things in her life. And I just said, you know what? I have to take control of me, and I have to be happy. And I'm doing it in honor of my mom. So I have to say that that gets me up every day also. Not only the entrepreneurial spirit that I have now, but also just keeping her in my memory, and, in my, make her, stay alive in my memory to do the things that really I want to do to make myself happy. And when I'm happy, my whole family's happy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Let's remember that, audience. Be happy so that others around you can be happy as
Yes.
well. Fill up your cup first. I love that. So
Yeah.
what is going on in your mind when tragedy strikes, excuse me, and you're making the shift? Because it is not easy. I know, moving from corporate America to entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
7 years ago, eight. Oh, it's going to be 8 years. Um,
Wow.
what's going through your mind to allow you to move away from comfort
Mm.
and to go into the unknown, and to not once but 3 times, because it is
Yes.
hard work.
Yes. And what I would tell everybody is be prepared. Don't, of course, don't leave your corporate job with, with bills and all that kind of stuff, loans, and just you got to take care of your house first. I would say plan ahead. You get yourself a year, 3, 5 year, 10-year plan and start working towards that part time. If you have a side hustle that you want to do, start doing it, but do it while you're employed. And then from there, I would say definitely networking events are very important. And just reach out to the community. People love to tell their stories, so if mentor with someone, partner up with someone, do that part time with somebody, and then do it. But my motto is just do it in fear, because that big mountain that's in front of you that's holding you back, it's really not that big when you get closer and closer to it. It actually shrinks. So I just do it. I do a lot of things in fear. And then I say to myself, instead of saying, what if, why not? Why not? Why not do that? Why not go out on a limb? I have a great foundation. I can always go back to my foundation. And that is, yes, corporate America. But I decided, I'm gonna bet on myself. I've been betting on everybody else. And I'm very grateful. I have a husband that, supported me in all this. I have wonderful children. They're grown now. And now I set a good foundation for them. So now it's time for me.
All right,
Um,
reclaim my time. All right.
it's time for me. And like I said, I think we all need to follow our true passion and our purpose. That's another thing. I feel like this financial coaching is my purpose because, we got ourselves out of it, out of this mess. I say my mess is now my message, and
Mm,
God's given me a message to go and help other people. And then the wine part is fun. The charcuterie is fun. I call myself not being an artist, but I do beautiful work. I have a wonderful mentor and coach in California that coaches me on all that, and I love it. And she's younger than me, and I love it. I love learning from younger people. They have so many interesting ideas and concepts, and they're fearless. And so I surround myself with all types of people, but especially the younger people. My children teach me a lot, about the IT stuff and the computer and all that. So that I just love being around all types of people that are willing to take risks, grow, and be successful with it.
I love that. What did you want to be when you were growing up?
I actually wanted to be a chef.
Really?
I wanted to go to culinary school, and I just went to CIA, Culinary Institute, up
Oh,
in New York
fabulous.
ago, and I just fell in love all over again. I'm not saying I want to do that now, but I think this whole charcuterie business is kind of steering me in that direction. And I actually met Rocco DeSpiro. He's a famous chef. The other day I do private events, and he was there, and he really encouraged me to just keep going with it. So it's
Oh, I love that. You know how things come full circle?
exactly.
When I was growing up, I wanted to be a teacher, and my mom said, "There's no money in that. Why do you want to do that? Find
Mhm.
something else." And off I went on this direction, a
See?
lifetime of a different
Yeah,
direction. But I'm teaching now in the work that I do, so I love that
exactly.
you go back to wanting to be a chef, and
Hmm.
here you are branching out with charcuterie, and then
Hmm.
off to the CIA, and who knows what will come from that. I love that.
Exactly. And like I said, it's just, I'm just moving forward. I'm moving forward. And yes, I do plan things out. You have to be calculated in planning, but in that, you're going to be fearful and just step out in faith and just do it. And it's really, I would say, out of 10 things that have happened to me in the last couple of years, I was fearful of them all, but really 8 to 9 of them turned out perfectly. And so I'm conquering my fears. Just do it. There are a lot of people there to help you and surround you and give you support and knowledge and understanding. And if you're coachable, you can do anything.
Yeah, I like to think everybody is coachable, but yeah, some people may not be open to change. But
Exactly.
give us an example of something you were afraid of and turned out to be great.
Doing it on my own. Doing it on my own, just especially these last couple of years with COVID. I was in the height of my wine tasting business during COVID. I was all over the place. March 2020 came along. I had 8 tastings on the books in March. It all canceled. I had 8 in April. They all canceled. And I'm like, oh my God, I've come so far. Oh my God, all this is, we didn't know what was going on in March 2020.
Mhm.
And our corporate office in Napa, they said, okay, we're going to start to do virtual wine tastings. We're like, how are you going to do virtual wine tastings? How are they going to taste the wine? And basically, I don't have one in front of me, but we have a wine card, and it just talks about all the characteristics of the wine, the fruit notes, this note, that note, just talks about everything. And so literally we got online, especially the end of end of March because we had no wine to give them to send to them. Um, and we talked about I sold $1,500 in wine that month, in the month of March, just by talking about it, telling people the nuances, what it pairs with, the foods, the cheese, this, the that. And then by then, slowly, we started to ship out the wine to everybody in April, May, and we would do virtual wine tastings where it would be sent to people's homes. We would get on Zoom and we would talk about it, and we would sip our little wine and have our little cheese and this and that. And next thing you know, everybody was doing, virtual stuff. Everybody
Mhm.
was doing virtuals.
Mhm.
That year alone, around the holidays, I did several uh, corporate events. I did Ernest and Young 65
Mhm.
person wine tasting.
Oh, how
So that
fabulous.
was a yeah, that was a corporate event. Normally you get together, you have a Christmas party or a holiday party. Well, one of Ernest and Young's clients, they decided to host a virtual. I done uh, Noah Community College, not alumni, but their like trustee board or something. We had a like 25 person. I've done it twice already with Southern Connecticut State University Alumni Association, virtual wine tastings, and several small ones. So, I was fearful. I was fearful, like, oh my God, this is all gonna come to an end for me, when I've done so well. And here it is, being open-minded, listening to what the experts have back at corporate, just doing it, just reading off those cards, being enthusiastic, being present, and just going for it. And it just all panned out. I earned a trip to Napa, through all
Fabulous.
that. The sales were crazy. And, I was able to go to Napa this past January. So it was amazing. So,
What a blessing. What a blessing. So, knowing what you know as a parent, as a entrepreneur, as a corporate alumnus, as a three-time entrepreneur, what would you say are the key ingredients for successfully owning your career? What's the formula?
yeah, well, definitely, I would say you have to take ownership of your own destiny. And that's in corporate America, if that's parenting, being a good wife, person, friend. You have to do the best that you can within your means. Write down things, take ownership in that. If you don't understand something, you go seek help. I'm a big component of learning. I learn from the good and the bad, and I make sure that, I don't do some of the bad things I see, and I make sure I take note and do things that are good for myself and my family and my career. Um, yeah, but taking ownership, reevaluating. There's seasons in life. So what we thought, maybe we were good at or want to do in our 20s, it definitely shifts in our 30s, 40s, and in our 50s now. So it's not a one set formula from your 20s to when you're in your 60s. So every decade is a new season, a new reason, and you got to reevaluate that.
That's awesome. What would you say in terms of resources has helped you to be successful in your career? Are there
Yes,
books,
so
classes, podcast? I mean, what?
yeah, so I would say, if you're still in corporate, I would definitely take advantage of. I know you and I, we came from a corporation that has a lot of training. I would take advantage of your corporate trainings. Seek out a mentor if you could, inside the corporation and outside, I would say. As far as being an entrepreneur, there are so many resources I live in Stamford, Connecticut. There's a women's networking business association. I'm probably getting the acronym wrong, but literally, if you Google, you could find so much. But yeah, podcasts, reading books, hopefully, getting face to face with people. And, I reached, like I said, my mentor in my charcuterie business. She's a three generation food entrepreneur. So when I have questions about food things, licenses and you know, uh, different things I need for the food business, I go talk to her because again, she's three generations. So go talk to the experts. Find out the experts and try to talk to them, or through social media and stuff like that. But social media is a big thing too. I have a lot of I'm involved in a lot of Facebook women entrepreneur Facebook pages. Those are helpful to get out. But yeah, definitely seek out resources.
Well, Michelle, it seems like you've mastered the art of networking. What do you say to the entrepreneur, not entrepreneur, what's the word I'm looking for? Introvert, excuse me.
Yes.
What do you say
Mm-hmm.
to the person who's an introvert? Because I know when I was in corporate, I did not like networking because
Mm.
I was raised to do my work, and I thought that the water cooler or additional pulls on my time, I don't want to say it was a waste of time, but it was detracting me from my focus of getting my work done. And so I shied away from those things, but I have since learned the power of relationship building. So you do a lot of that with the wine business and the charcuterie business. Tell us
Mm.
about the power of networking and give our listeners some tips around how do we do it well?
Right. So I have to tell you, when I first got to corporate America, I was in my 20s. I was an engineer. There was a lot of engineers at this job I was at, and they would do going to bars and doing stuff, and I really wasn't into that. And I quickly learned within my peer group that, again, not saying, definitely never do things that you truly go against your values or morals or anything like that, but to just maybe, I could have like gone to one of the bars and just socialize for an hour or so. So I've learned through that even when that click, the click that they have sometimes, that it's important just to show up, like maybe sit with them at lunch, or maybe there's an after hours get together. A lot of them played softball. Well, you know what? Show up to the softball game. Just try to find something that, you know, ease your way into the click, just to show them that you're kind of a part of it. You get a little older, you have family, you can't really hang out like that. But again, maybe at lunchtime, sit with, it's almost like school, you sit with different, the nerdy people versus the jocks, whatever. Try to, and again, another thing that I started to do is, invite people to go out to lunch. You know what? Hey, let's go down to the local pizza place or this place and let's have lunch and let's get to meet each other or talk one on one. That helps. That's helped me a lot later on in my career. And again, through corporations, they do have a mentor program. So I would kind of link up with somebody or, become friends with maybe a coworker or something that can maybe coach you into being more of an extrovert and reaching out to people. Because I know it's hard sometimes. I'm an extrovert. I love talking to people. I love socializing. So that's not, but sometimes depending on what group I'm with, I'm a little more timid to be with this group than that group. So I had to learn to just, you know, say hello. And you know what? You always ask people how they're doing, and they love to talk about themselves. And then that will get the conversation that you feel better. So I think those are some of the good tips to have.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you're doing such a great job here. I wonder, as you think about your entire career, if you were to write a book on your career, what would the title of the book be?
That's a good question. Something around like making yourself happy, like be happy, do you, I don't have a direct title, but something along those themes, like just creating your own destiny.
Mm,
If you do want to be that manager, director, or CEO, create create your own path. What makes you happy? If you want to be the entrepreneur, just, what, again, prepare yourself. That 3, 5, 7, 10 year plan, but just prepare yourself to create your own destiny, whatever that is. I
mm.
would say, yeah,
I love that. We were talking
yeah,
earlier and you said something that resonated with me because I often use this language. And as you talk about the title, what was coming up for me internally was the bet on yourself. So bet on yourself, everybody. Is so important because you can get lost in someone else's vision, someone else's dream, and not do
yep,
anything for yourself. So I love what you're saying about be happy and prioritize you. Bet on
yeah,
yourself, everybody. We've got over 110 or so episodes that you can
mm,
listen to and really work on your career. And
hmm.
I want to thank you, Michelle, for showing up today, engaging in this conversation. Any other parting words that you would leave with our audience?
No, just like you said, bet on yourself. And that is by using other people to help you get there. Because a lot of times in our 20s and 30s, we don't really know really what we want to do. But again, always go for your passion. When you wake up, I remember as a little girl waking up and thinking about food, thinking about cooking. And, I did a different path, but now I'm on that path again. So money will always come. It's not going to come automatically, but just bet on yourself, bet on your passion, bet on your love. Find good role models and mentors, and it will come to pass. It's not going to happen overnight, but eventually it will come to pass, and you will be happy in your own skin. You'll be happy, and everyone around you would be happy. So that's my biggest tip to everyone.
Well,
You know.
audience, Michelle has a great big smile on her face, so I have a feeling she's happy right now, and I'm so happy for you. So
Thank you so much.
thrilled for you. Thank you for being a guest on the Power of Owning Your Career podcast, Michelle. Please tell our listeners how they can stay connected with you if they'd like to do so.
Yes, so on IG is the Art of Wine and Cheese, the Art of Wine and Cheese, and that's Facebook also. And you can reach me there. So, and my email, it's a little complicated, but it's wine, WINE, not with Michelle.
I love that play on words. Why not, everybody? Wine, WINENOT. I love it. I
Yes.
love it.
Yep.
And we
Yeah,
will
but
put
thank you
it in
so
the show
much.
notes. We'll put it in the show
Okay.
notes as well so that people don't have to keep rewinding. We'll put it in the show notes, the ways to reach you. And
Yes.
again, my sincere thanks for saying yes and just sharing your career story with us on the Power of Owning Your Career podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I really appreciate it.
You are very, very welcome.
I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this week's empowering career story on the podcast. If you did, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Wherever you listen to the podcast, be sure that you are subscribing and that you rate and review the podcast. It's so important as we continue to spread the word of career empowerment. In addition, you can head over to the LinkedIn platform and join the Power of Owning Your Career discussion group. There you can have access to the guests who have been on the podcast, as well as others listening to the podcast, as well as myself, where we can continue the conversation. I hope to see you on that platform. You can also email me at pooyc@simonemorris.com if you have a suggestion for guest or a message that you want me to hear personally. Thanks so much, and make it an inspiring, empowering week in your career.